everyone. Before we get into this morning's live, I would like to first thank everybody for tuning in. As cryptocurrency right now, we do have a very nice chance here, and we'll get into the discussion here in just a second. I'll let everybody get in who's going to be here. I'm going to share this real quickly as I'm on at a very different time. You'll come to be accustomed on Fridays a lot of times. If I'm home, I will do my routine a little bit backwards, as I will do a live earlier in the day for my first content after I get back from the gym and my morning, obligations. And we will do a live in the morning. And because Friday nights are a little bit, it's off and on, like chaotic somewhat, with two other kids and the special needs son. Fridays are technically, they get a little bit chaotic at the end of the day. So I try to do the lives while everybody's in school. My son's home with us. He doesn't have school today. He's a little stuffy nose and a little congested, nothing major, but he's definitely he's in good spirits. He's just the last day and a half or so has been a little stuffy, congested. So I'm gonna do this live now. We'll have a lot to talk about, a lot. And if you are watching this, whether it's before the live ends, like during it in real time, or if you end up watching this after the live has already aired, I would greatly appreciate if you would hit that like button, just so YouTube will pass this through the algorithm and it'll become more viewable on everybody's homepage on YouTube. And you'll be able to see the live, or if you haven't seen it in real time, if you're at work, maybe you'll come home later tonight and it'll pop up on your page and it'll remind you to watch the content, so on and so forth. So I appreciate everybody. But I think the major thing this morning is, let's take advantage of the day. Let's take advantage of the opportunities, and let's make this day blessed. So basically the way I live is I come in and I look at things a little differently. Like, I'm looking at this like, this is such a beautiful and blessed day for us to be here. And the Lord has given us this day. What's the best way that I can show respect to our Lord? And the best way I can do that is by doing the most I can possibly do each and every day and not taking it for granted. And that means coming on here. That means doing what I do at the gym. That means living a lifestyle that I live. But also trying to gain knowledge and grow every single day. I believe that's the right way to give thanks, but also trying to give abundance to others as well. And we talk about this word abundance. And it's very important because by doing what I do, maybe it allows you to see the charts a little bit differently. Maybe you're able to make an investment. Maybe you put a few dollars in your pocket. Then by making a few dollars, now you can give abundance to somebody else by hiring them to do, let's say you had a landscaping job. Well, now you're hiring them to do work. Now they can feed their families. They can feed themselves. They can make a living. By learning and understanding, becoming profitable, now you're able to give abundance to somebody else. I think that's a great message to pass on. As we go through this cryptocurrency every single day, you're going to go through this one of two ways. You're either going to get burned out, or you're going to look at it like, I can't believe I get to do this every single day and I have this opportunity. And that's the way I like to look at this. I don't get burned out. There was a time in the 4 years that I've been doing this on YouTube that I may have gotten burned out with my approach. Now it's slightly different. Now my approach is, I feel so thankful for being here that every single day is a blessing to be able to put this content out, that I don't get burned out. In fact, I crave it more and more because I get to do this every day. Like, I get to have my audience of over 34,000, around 500 people. When I first started, if I would have looked out forward 4 years and said, hey, you got 34,000 plus people, I'd say, oh my God, that's a lot different than having 3. So it's one of those things. You get to do it so you don't get burned out, and then you see the results. Seeing results also gives you that positive momentum. Even the negativity that happens gives me the drive. Like, you can either crumble, or you can pick yourself up from the bootstraps and you can push forward and learn from your mistakes, or you can go into a cycling depression or a never-ending spinning cycle of negativity with some negative results that have come your way. I like to look at it as an opportunity to get better, and it allows me to grow every day, and it allows me to see things I might not have seen yesterday. I might see tomorrow, or I may even end up picking up on today because I was open to the learning opportunity. So what does all that have to do with crypto? I think it's very important, because in crypto, a lot of people get burned out way too quickly because they're looking at it as a sub-zero game when it's not. Crypto is anything but a sub-zero game. It takes a lot of opportunity. It takes a lot of testicular fortitude, but it also takes a lot of patience, and a lot of understanding of learning the education that comes every day within the crypto chart. Because a lot of people who are uneducated, you'll see the simple narrative. It's going up and it's going down. That's the same thing we have to look at. Well, that's an uneducated understanding. Just because it went up to 229 and bounced back to 214 or 208, it wasn't just, it went up to go down. No, it went up to resistance, and then it came back down to try to substitute the lower levels at $1.61, then $1.83, then $1.94. Now we're trying to substitute that with either a 208 or 214 floor, which we were able to hold. It's the same thing I can say about gold and silver. Gold and silver ran up so fast, so hard, that now it's got no choice but to come down to find the next floor. So before, gold's floor was 3,000. Now we're trying to find a new floor after the next $400 push. Is it going to be 3,250? Is it going to be 3,200? Is it going to be back down to 3? We don't know until we find the next floor. Some of these mining stocks, like Barrick Gold was down at 15, then it went up to 21. Now the floor, are we going to be back at 15, or is there going to be a $17 floor? B2 Gold, can we make $3 the floor now after going from 255 or 252 back up to 330? Now can we make $3 the floor instead of having to go back to 250? Same thing you're seeing with silver. We went up to 34. Now is the floor now 32, 31 instead of going back to 29 or 30? You know, we're trying to make a new floor. Pan America Silver was at 19, went to 28. Now it's at 25.59. Is the new floor going to be 23, 24, 20? That's what we're trying to figure out now. Or does it come back through? First Majestic was down at 450. Then it was up to 7 something. Now it's back to the mid-tier. Is it going to be $6 threshold? Is it going to be 5? That's what we're trying to figure out. Same with Fortuna. Was down to 250. Now it was all the way almost to a peak where it was at. And now it's been trying to find a floor between $4 and $5. And so far, so good. So we'll see how this holds. That same thing with XRP like we talked. It was down to $1.61, too, which I was a little disappointed. It didn't come to fill that fair value gap at $1.50, as I've said and stated. But it's okay. We came back up to about $2.29. We bounced back down to 214, 208. Now we've come back up to this 222, 221 area. We're trying to find where that next layer of support is. Is it a rising support structure now, which can lead us to a parabolic push, which right now we're looking okay. Even though we're heading into a thinly traded weekend, still looking okay. We're still in an area that is opportunistic. There's a lot of value in what's going on right now. And we do have catalysts that are coming next month for XRP in particular with the CFTC. Hopefully they push through the approval of the Commodity Future Trading Commission, which is interesting that now it goes through them and not the Securities and Exchange Commission because it's a commodity, right? So the CFTC is ruling on whether or not the CME group can launch the XRP futures next month, which there will be 2 different ways of doing this. There's 2,500 XRP that you can buy in basically a lot, or you can buy 50,000. It's basically like a unit of 1. You get 50,000 as your lot, or you get 2,500 as a lot. And if you ever do any call options, when you buy one call option, a lot of times when you're doing it in the stock market, it's a variation of 100 different options into one. So you're buying 100 options at 25 cents, or 2 cents, or 10 cents, or $1, whatever it is, but there's a lot of it. So then maybe it might cost you $100, even though you're only, but it's a lot of an option. It's 100 shares is technically one option in most cases. Now they do vary, but you're getting that same similarity now, except 2,500 for the lot is not one token. That's 2,500 tokens you are willing to buy, or a 50,000 token lot, which right now would be over 100 grand on XRP. So I mean, who's willing to put that kind of capital? You're talking about $110,000 for that 50,000 token lot, which is beautiful because that takes 50,000 tokens off of circulation. That also means the CME exchange that is doing this, they're going to have these fulfilled. So they're going to have to buy this collateral in a sense of owning the XRP so that they can give it out. So you can't give out something you don't own unless there's an agreement. So now are these being taken off of the exchange, or are these being taken off of a side deal with Ripple? Well, as we know, at least for the next 60 days or so, there's still that so-called amendment that disallows Ripple from selling to institutional investors for a side price. Now, that can be all set clear in the next 60 days or so, but as of right now, that is still a ruling that is still intact. So that's going to be something. It'll make a big difference if it's being taken off of the exchange for pricing, or if it's being given a different diluted price. See, as retail, we don't get that diluted price, but institutional investors do. Make no mistake about it, if you were in the know, or if you had that kind of power, that kind of money, that kind of influence, or the right institution, you too would be able to buy for those prices. You would also be selling at a different price as well. However, when you own XRP and you buy it off the exchange and they're giving you the tokens to hold, who's to say you have to sell it back for the cheaper price? You could just sell it to the exchange for the diluted price. You know, so from your diluted price to the overinflated price that retail pays. So, I mean, there's two caveats here. We need retail to own, but we also need institutions to have an overextension here to where they can buy large sums of these tokens. It doesn't really matter the price because you take them out of circulation and then it makes the ones remaining more valuable. Supply and demand, folks. The less supply and the more demand equals higher price. The less demand and more supply equals lower price. It's the same thing in economics, basic economics, which is an interesting topic that we can discuss as well. Economics, politics, you know, all of this stuff is interesting. Like, I'm 41 now. I'm 4 decades into my life. And it's amazing to me. So many that are older, so many that are the same age, and so many that are in similar age, and especially the younger ones as well. It doesn't surprise me. But for the ones who I spoke of aforementioned in the beginning, it surprises me that so many of us live our daily life based on what the blue man or red man says, what the Democrat or Republican says, how we align ourselves with, oh, we believe what the blue man says, so now we're Democratic. Or we believe what the red man is saying, so we're Republican, when if we really understood, we have a Federal Reserve, which is the Central Bank of America. That's the central bank controlling us through the Federal Reserve. That's our central bank in the USA. So if you understand that all that other nonsense is just that, you can start playing the game of, all right, let's see what they say from the political side. Let's see what the economic side looks like. And then let's see what it looks like from a standpoint of investment. You know, right now they would like you to believe that risk assets aren't good. It's like I've been pushing. Risk assets aren't supposed to be good in this environment. They're not supposed to be good when we don't have the quantitative easing yet. They're not supposed to be good when we're not printing an exorbitant amount of money yet to pay off this debt. It's not supposed to be, and we are printing money, so that's a part of it that it gets put in, because who's buying the government bonds? It sure as hell aren't us. How is the bond market going down? That means the government's buying all the debt they can possibly buy, which means next week it's going to be interesting. But we also are not in an environment with interest rates coming down, but we see the evidence they're going to with the ECB, the European Central Bank, lowering it again by 25 basis points. I think we're positioning ourselves here for a very bullish run. A very bullish run. In fact, if you're part of my Telegram, if you're part of my community, yes, I do talk about the bearish side because I know where we go and how we do things. But I literally got back on board with my audience even. And if we go to pin message, I put on here, and what date is this? This is back on April, what is this? April 9th. So, you know, this is 2 weeks ago, and I literally said, for anybody who watched live last night, remember what we talked about. With the recent drop that occurred and the fact I think we are in a bear market, it is a proper time to try and build into particular assets. I only say this because, like in 2023, they are making a play to guarantee lower rates and quantitative easing. That is bullish in the future in crypto. With what said, I was weak overnight and bought back ZIL. In no way do I condone my buy, but it was 2:45 a.m. and this is when it slipped under 1 cent. But I think we are either bottomed or within 80% of the bottom. And I say that with a 82% conviction, but who really knows? I think they're baiting us into thinking June most likely will come soon. And that's what I was saying in May. I thought leading into May it would be a better opportunity when we hit that bottom. So, you know, I don't have to say it until I'm blue in the face, but if you just follow my ideology, you'll understand, like, there's a reason why I own what I own. There's a reason why I have so much of what I own. There's a reason I bought ZIL back when it went under 1 cent. And I'm glad I did, because now it's up 30+% from there. There's a reason I do all of this. You know, there's a reason look at H bar back over 20 cents. VeChain's approaching 3, XLM's approaching 30, DGB's, you know, still set in a very nice, concise consolidation, and it's actually trying to break out. It hasn't been able to push past this major resistance. And I would dare say you push past this 104, all of a sudden we're going to open up the door up here to 115, and that's a nice little move. It's the reason why XRP is trying to regain its strength here. And you know, I don't sugarcoat things. I put on yesterday about watch out for AVE. I talked about the other day, watch out for where the hell's Quant? It was just on here. I talked about Quant. Where the heck's it? Anyhow, we talked about Quant and it's been moving. We had a small leverage trade that we ended up closing after it made a good amount. And now we watch it continue to move up here. Theta is one that at 62 cents I said I would consider buying, but I wanted to watch it. Man, oh man, would that have been a nice play down there. I remember Shane even talked about it, how I talked about that. But then I'm like, well, I want to see how the market moves in reality. Are we going to come up over the 200 days? Is this a rejection to bring us farther down? I don't know. So I made plays in certain areas. And then in other areas I'm watching, like it's a beautiful rotational pull today, like it's been the last few days. Now the Dow is something that concerns me because it was up 450 points. And then all of a sudden, it's starting to pull back from yesterday's high. We got up to 40,360, and now it's almost putting in a reversal here to end the week. We do not want to come below the pivot point to end this week at all. You got 2 hours to try to fix this, but we definitely have what looks like a reversal starting over here and an exhaustion phase here. So we need to get a bullish push here in the stock market. Otherwise, you know, this is going to continue down possibly, and it's not going to be pretty. Because I still think that 33,782 is definitely intact. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just, can we bounce out of this phase? So, and we have a rotational swing here with gold. As we talk about gold, commodities, silver, mining stocks, they're looking for the floor now. And yeah, it's red, but they're absolutely looking to try to see the new floor. You never can go up without a big drop back or any kind of drop back. We've seen this with gold after it went up from, let's see, 2,837. We went to 3,165 just to come back to the new floor at 2,957. Then we went from 2,957 up to 3,502 just to come back right now to 2,264. If I was a betting man, I would say we'd come down here somewhere towards 3,150 area or 136. I would say this probably plays out like a bear flag, and then it comes down one more layer to try to reaffirm the breakout, back test, not leaving any gaps here, just like the breakout, back test, try not to leave any gaps here. See how we line it up perfectly from the break up, back down, break out, back test, the initial push up, break out, back test, try to initially push this back. So, I mean, I could see it coming back into that range. I don't necessarily see this holding this double bottom, in my opinion. I think this has failed. I don't think there's going to be a lot of testicular fortitude to end the week. I think this is by design. We'll come down here and make it look bad. US dollar was trying to make a play at the end of the week, but it's pitiful. It's a pitiful play at best. But it is in a nice V-shaped recovery, but it's going to have some kind. So now, remember, when there's not the action to the downside, you have an equal or opposite reaction. So is it possible the US dollar now, after not being able to retest these areas on the drop, maybe it does come back up here to this? I would say probably more likely, if it was going to come back up and get an early rejection, that you would probably come down to like maybe up to right here. And then if you were to maximize it, yes, then you could come up a little bit higher to 102 spot 883. But that's the dilemma we're in right now. And it's not even much of a dilemma, because with the capital rotation, we know we're having a capital rotation event. And it's only, I don't even know if I've had one in my lifetime. I mean, we did have a little capital rotation event at the late 90s, early 2000s, one at about 2008 to 11 area. But the last real capital rotation event was it was decades ago. So this might be my first real capital rotation to where we start to pour out of the stock market. We start to pour out of, you know, government bonds, and other countries start to take down our government bonds, and they start to take away our treasuries, and they're not collecting the yield. So it could be the time where more people find the comfort. And I'm looking for one of those extreme areas with silver, as you guys know, to be able to put in roughly 15 to 20,000 in silver, but not silver physical, because I've already got 850 plus. I'm looking at a short trade in cash, but to where it's not in the US dollar. But I'm waiting, because the appeal here was more, it was coming up with an instability here for some reason, and it looks like we have to have some kind of correction here. Like, I know we had one, But now we have to see if the floor has been made. So what, it comes back to 31. Or maybe it comes a little farther. You know, but it's trying to decide if we have a floor here. And the same thing's happening in crypto. These, to me, are the most interesting and intriguing times you can find in cryptocurrency. Hell, if you're an investor, to me, these are the most important times to watch. These are the most important times to be involved. Like, you're never going to know until you actually make a play. You're never going to understand until you make a mistake. Like, the biggest lesson that is taught in crypto, you have to make mistakes so that you don't fall for those same areas and those same setups that you once did before. You know, it's so true, though. To me, it's such a true thing. So, I don't know how many people are watching right now. I don't know if we have 20 people here. I don't know if we have 50 people. I don't know. Because I like to look at this now 40 minutes in. I like to be able to get these thoughts out. I don't even know if so many people are intrigued by my new style. But I do know that there's a lot better information here. And there's a lot more that you can do in kind of trying to evolve yourselves by just paying attention to all of this. Because we are, in fact, bouncing still. We're still in a very desirable area. We did take one of those two very lucrative routes we drew out, and then it actually played it perfectly. So, if you just look at it from the scenario of, okay, well, you know, Tom, we had this short-term consolidation. Where can this go if this inverse head and shoulders pans out? And I am so glad you asked. All we have to do is go to a slightly different chart down here. And our next target is $2.34, assuming we don't lose $2.01. That's our big thing, and we can push it out in the future. Now you could say maybe it's $2.02.7. As long as we hold the integrity here, our next resistance, 234, and the resistance that is so important, but not the most important, but really important for this pattern structure, is $2.52. Assuming we get over that, then we have to deal with this pesky pivot point that we have not been able to breach in some time. Just like the 229 pivot has to fall before 234 is in play. We haven't been able to break that pesky point either. But we'll get into this deeper after I do the intro. Good morning. 11:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday, April 25th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Some of you know me as XRP Future Millionaire with the side bet on excellent future Digibyte OG, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So, you know, big stuff going on here. Hell, we haven't even got into Bitcoin yet. Bitcoin's up 1,300 points or 1.39% to 95,314. Bitcoin continues to do this 100% by the book. Got over 87,691, held. Got over the next point at 93,136, consolidated, held. Now we're heading towards 99,631, which is the cream of the crop in this short-term consolidation. And if you can get back over that, then you start to push that 103 and then 109. We do know that we have a long-term target of this pattern that was up here near 129, 128, 127. That was the pattern setup when we first started coming up into these areas. So that is something that's still there. It's something that can still happen. It's just we're going to see if we can break through. We put this inverse head and shoulders descending triangle setup on the back end. And it played out absolutely phenomenal. It's played out perfectly. And the technical break up still has more room. It's almost 100K. So this is doing exactly what we want it to do. Now, going into a thinly traded weekend, does it continue? Nobody knows. The better part of this entire year, last week we had a neutral weekend, which was nice. It didn't go up. It didn't really go down. We were pretty neutral. So you could say weekend 18 of the new year was neutral. The first 16 were anything but. The 17th started giving us hope, but still ended up fading a little bit. The 18th is where it seemed like we were starting to round the bottoms. It seemed like we were finally able to hold a layer of support. However, now we have to get through the most pivotal weekend we've had of 2025. This is in my opinion, it's going to be our make it or break it weekend heading into early May. We're either going to start May with a little bit of a dump, and that'll be defined by this weekend, Or this weekend's going to allow us to catapult into the next rising momentum to where we catapult up near 100K in Bitcoin into next week. We catapult into the 230 to 235 range for XRP, leading in to a showdown with 245 near the escrow dump in about 1 week. Now, the escrow dump doesn't necessarily influence price like everybody thinks, but it does lead to a expansion of the circulating supply of XRP. So I don't care what anybody says, it affects it. When you release 1 billion, and even if only 200,000 or 200 million finds its way into the XRP ecosystem, you've expanded by the amount of XRP available, and this would now put it over 59 billion. We were doing this 4 years ago when they did the daily XRP escrow dumps, and we only had like 38 billion in circulation. So there's been like 20 billion plus XRP added into circulation over my 4 years. That's a big difference. It dilutes the size. You know, so it takes more to move the price. However, that's not a bad thing. Would you rather than put it all in the circulation at once or over a number of 10 to 12 years? We know December of 2028 is when this ends, this escrow dump. Now, in December of 2028, there is no regulation. They can do what they see fit. So all of those 70, 60, 50 to 80% lock back up between 400 to 800 million per month. Those are all going to be free and clear December of 2028 for Ripple to do as they see fit. Whether they need to sell them to continue business operations, whether they put them back in a vault, whether they want to sell them to other people. They can do whatever the hell they want. They want to take. So my idea is the most appreciation should happen in this time of lockup because they're going to want to have the maximum capacity. So we should get nice appreciation into 28. And that's why I like the fact that we've gone from 30 cents in the bear market or 28 cents to 21 to now in the bear market of 25, it's $2.19. That's a huge fucking difference. I mean, it's so astronomically different. I can't even give it words to justify it. I really can't. So we've gone on a little bit of a journey here together, but for the ones who stick it out and the ones who have been around, I mean, you flipped to zero just by holding XRP. You bought XRP for 3,500, let's say, when we did on average, for 10,000 tokens, and that's worth 22,000. That's flipping a zero, folks, just on XRP. Now, if you base it with the other portfolios, with what we did with our other holdings, you could have flipped from, you know, a 4-digit holdings of 6,000 to 8,000 like we had, maybe a little bit, tiny bit higher in the end, because we bought so many more XRP when it went to 38 cents, 5 grand to be approximate. But that turned into a 6-figure portfolio for some. Whether you still have it or not, you were able to see how it can fluctuate from 4 to 5 to 6 so quickly in one cycle. Now the importance and the abundance part of this is, if we can maximize this from this cycle, understand that we are absolutely in a bear market. Bitcoin's teetering back out of a bear market now, as it's now only down about 13 or 14% from the top, so it's back into corrective territory. To go back into a full-blown bull market, you want to break that resistance point, which is the cycle top. But we're back into corrective territory, so Bitcoin's got a big decision here. Do we continue on from corrective and then push out into wave 5? Or is this where we hit our head on the wall and we get thumped? It's the most intriguing point for me, and I can't wait to watch it with all of you. I really can't. We still have a lot of turns to go here. I know we've been on for maybe, I don't know, 25 minutes to a half hour. Still a lot of nooks and crannies to go through here, however. If you do appreciate my show, consider subscribing and joining this beautiful journey. If you want to go above and beyond, you can always join Tom's Army for $9.99. It only entitles you to the fact that you appreciate what I do, you're paying it forward, and you respect the fact I come on every day. I've been doing this since March 21st of 2021, or 24th of 2021. I've never missed a day, and we remain with the same message. We try to look for the opportunities, and here's a big inverse head and shoulders that is broken out on XLM as well. If you want to go above and beyond, you can also send a YouTube Super Chat. You can do Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. You can send it through YouTube Super Chat through YouTube. I always love seeing those when I get done doing my 40 to 50 minute spew before I start talking to everybody and look at the comments. It's something I've changed in the last couple of weeks, and I really appreciate this format. It allows me to gel. But I also like reading the support as well. You don't have to. Everything's free. So, I mean, some say, what's the point? I believe in giving when somebody gives. You don't just take, you give back. So that power of giving, the power of positivity, and the power of paying it forward to showing your appreciation is the biggest motivation you can give somebody who gives their work and their heart and soul. So XLM, if this plays out properly, is looking at 52 cents on this reversal. It is. That's where it's looking at. As of right now, it's going up. We've got our first resistance that'll start to tie us over at 30 cents. Then we'll start to look at the upper boundaries and layers, but technically, we're looking at a nice push up if this can play out up to 52 cents. So is that the same as buying XLM as we predicted it would go down to 20 cents? Nope. That's where we looked at a major buying opportunity at 19.9 cents. Major opportunity. And now it bounced off it perfectly and it's up. You know, it's bounced off 19 cents. I'd say we're up a good 12, 30, or not 12, 30, but from there it's 43% from the drop after it dropped down. But now it's up 43% from that point. And we had that marked out perfectly in that descending breakdown. 19.9 was the money spot. That was the sweet spot, unless it broke down farther and forced us down to the end, which could have got us down to like 16.8. But that was such a desirable level. I remember when it was up here and we made this out and we're like, can it really go down to 19 cents? It did. It absolutely hit 19. 20, 19.9. So it did. And now it's on a 43% resurrection, you know, after a very big drop off. DGB is still looking to turn the corner as we've stated. It came down pretty far too. I mean, it was all the way up at 2 cents, let's not forget, not too long ago. And then even from here in the beginning of, what is this, January, we were at 1.3. We came all the way down to 0.00. I mean, you're talking about 100% reversal almost. We're up like 70% from the bottom already. Oh no, it came down. Yesterday it was getting close. Right now we're at 52% from the bottom roughly. That's no short stack there. I mean, that's some nice movement. But now we have to remember in all of this, it looks beautiful. It's fantastic. It's all encompassing right now because it looks good. But we still have really done nothing. That's the problem. We've got the golden cross, which is fantastic in the 4-hourly if we play off of it. But we've really done nothing yet. We still got to break out of this area. There's so many key resistance areas that we got to get past. We're trying to get past here, and I'm looking at it from a weekly standpoint. We're trying to make some moves. You know, we're trying to make a move. And if we could push past this next area, oh my God. It's not just we're trying to make a move. We're going to make a huge move. If we could catapult here. It's just we got to get past this last area. And for some reason, we can't get past it right now. We can't get, look at XLM went from 30 cents just now to 28.7. I should have shut up. But we just can't get past it as of right now. That's not a bad thing. A bad thing is Bitcoin dominance trying to break out of here. I'm just telling everybody, if Bitcoin dominance, and this has been my fear, which is why I drew this line over the top, I thought even if it was bearish, Bitcoin dominance could artificially kick us in the nuts at 72%. Now, it's very indicative of where I circled here, if we break past this resistance or if this is where it starts down. It's starting to break out in quite a way here that's a little bullish in the weekly. And in the 4-hourly, it's done nothing to stop it. Like, right now, there's a real chance that this can go up, but we need it to start coming down. Like, we need it to come down. Even Ethereum up 2.23% on the day, or 40 bucks at 1,809. It's being squeezed by the same damn area. This is such a major pivot point that's been there. And once it got rejected there on the way down, it was a major rejection. Now we've got to get past it. You got to get past that before we can get excited. If you get past an old 1853, it's excellent. Because then you can start coming back possibly up to that rising channel in time. You still got an exhaustion wick over here that it's tapped once at 2,083. You've got the breakdown area at 2,800. But you've got areas on the way up, like the rising wedge here at about 2,564. So, opportunity to be sure. We have opportunity setting up to be sure. So, now that we've gone around in such a way, and I am a little hungry. I'm getting hungry. I eat for 16 hours a day, and I'm up at 16 hours at noon. So my eating schedule is noon to 8. Sometimes it's 12:30 to 8:30, 1 to 9, just depending on when I start. But I only eat 8 hours a day, and I do a 16-hour fast. I've been doing it for almost 3 years now. And between that and working out and just having a more protein-based diet and things like that, you know, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in at 41, which feels good. But, you know, I like the grind. So I like crypto. I like the same routine. I like to do the same things. I like to eat the same foods. I like to do the same things so that I do a lot of things. So But let's see. Let's see if I can find a few things to read before I go into the comments. I'm thinking the comments I'll probably do around noon today. Won't leave a lot of time for back-end conversation. But I need to make sure I get through this in a fashion that I see fit. Let's see how many people are here. 35 minutes in, we have 102 people. That's pretty good. Not bad for this time of the day. About 70% of you have hit that like button. I can't complain. I would love to see everybody hit the like button, but not everybody's going to appreciate what I do. Or not everybody's going to remember. Or everybody's got different things going on. Maybe you don't want to hit it on your phone. Maybe it's not available. I don't know. So why should I judge? So XRP on the verge of mini golden cross at $2.50. And is it incoming the $2.50 mark? The outcome of the crucial battle could determine XRP's short to mid-term course. The asset is currently battling significant resistance at the 100-day exponential moving average, which is presently hovering around the $2.20 zone despite exhibiting indications of strength in April. And that's right where we're at right now, 220 area. A clean break of this level, which has historically served as a turning point for XRP, might signal the start of a more widespread bullish reversal. Technically speaking, XRP established a strong base around the $2 mark, which we can confirm with our own analysis, and attempted, and through our analysis today, we've already confirmed, and attempted to rise, but it was strongly rejected at the 100-day exponential moving average, which to me, that 229 was the major rejection point, which it lines up pretty good. But it was strongly rejected at the 100 EMA, although the charts resulting red candles show sellers defending this level. Bullish hopes are maintained because the price is still above an important short-term moving averages like the 50 and 26-day exponential moving average. More significantly, this difficulty has coincided with a noticeable increase in trading volume, indicating that both buyers and sellers are very active and that market is keeping a close eye on this level. Large price movements are usually preceded by spikes in volume, and the result of this current conflict may cause a bigger swing in either direction. The next significant resistance is located between $2.40 and $2.50. If XRP can gain traction and close above the 100 exponential moving average with confirmation, this would set up XRP for a more sustained recovery and perhaps even a return to its peak in 2025. The asset might return to the $1.90 to $1.95 support range, though if the $2 zone is not maintained, while it would not necessarily spell disaster for XRP, it would greatly impede any optimistic rebound. Same thing I'm emphasizing and I'm trying to articulate with my daily analysis. At the moment, XRP is at a turning point. A significant technical barrier is being approached by the price. The market is paying attention and the volume is increasing. A breakout at this point might signal the start of a much-needed upward trend. However, if it is rejected, XRP bulls may have to wait longer, which I think in time, no matter what, we're going to have a very nice bullish move. It's just, sometimes it takes longer. You never know. So the Ripple president also said no IPO as of yet. During a recent interview with CNBC, Ripple president Monica Long clarified that the San Francisco, because a lot of people talk about this in my audience as well. I found a few stories I can read through. Just got to find them because after time, more articles get posted from when I looked at 8 o'clock and then at 6 this morning and things like that. So Monica Long clarified that the San Francisco-based enterprise blockchain company is not interested in having an initial public offering at the moment due to the fact that it has sufficient liquidity. At this moment, we have a lot of liquidity. So we do have billions of dollars of cash on the balance sheet, she stressed. Long added that Ripple is currently in acquisitive, I can't even say it. They're looking for acquisition positions, acquisitive, I can't say it today. So we are really just focused on growing the business as we are now, she added. There have been years of speculation regarding Ripple's potential IPO plans, mainly because of Garlinghouse. In 2022, Brad Garlinghouse said that Ripple would consider going public after the end of its case with the Securities and Exchange Commission. In October, Ripple CEO, this is why proofreading is nice, they would know they didn't finish it off. In October, and I don't think they're redacting it, in October, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse slated that an IPO was not a priority for the company since it is in a strong financial position. So there's things that change. We talked about the CME, but I'll reiterate it today because I talked about it in my opening remarks. So incredibly important, Ripple's CEO comments on CME's big XRP move. Ripple's CEO, and we read this through his verified X yesterday as well. Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, has also responded to CME Group's XRP futures announcement, describing the launch as incredibly important. Garlinghouse claims that it is an exciting step in the continued growth of the XRP market. As reported by You Today, CME Group announced that the product would be launched on May 19th. Even though CME Group is not the first market player to introduce regulated XRP futures, but it is certainly the biggest one. Hence, the launch of the aforementioned futures product will be a watershed moment for the XRP token. Even though, according to the data provided by analytics firm Goinglass, CME Group accounts for the biggest share of the Bitcoin futures open interest at $13.14 billion out of $65 billion. It is ahead of such crypto native giants as Binance and OKX. CME Group launched Bitcoin futures back in January of 2018, which coincided with the start of a devastating bear market. In February 2021, the Chicago-based derivatives behemoth introduced Ethereum futures. CME Group's the CME Group's current Ethereum futures open interest stands at 1.32 billion. The Securities and Exchange Commission approved spot-based Bitcoin and Ethereum exchange-traded funds ETFs in 2024. The lack of regulated futures was viewed as a major hindrance to the approval of a spot XRP ETF. With this out of the way, the odds of an XRP ETF being approved in 2025 by the new SEC administration are extremely high. As reported by You Today, XRP and Solana are in the lead by the number of ETF filings in the USA. So, there's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of stuff going on. I want to see if there's anything I missed. I did do a lot of reading this morning, like a crazy amount of reading. So I just want to make sure there's nothing I missed. Concerns about futures contracts on CME Group. That's interesting to say. Ripple president, I forgot about that. Monica Long stungs XRP army with product advancement. I seen that this morning. Ripple investors received more great news from the Securities and Exchange Commission. So, we can look at that. Monica Long, the president of American blockchain payments firm Ripple Labs Inc., has spurred fresh excitement within the XRP community. She recently stunned the community with updates on the company's ongoing expansion and its latest acquisition. These developments come as the Ripple Labs linked cryptocurrency XP shows steady price gains amidst increasing institutional adoption. Ripple strengthens infrastructure with Hidden Road deal. In a recent CNBC interview, Monica Long confirmed Ripple's acquisition of Hidden Road, a global prime brokerage firm, and we've talked about this, but it's good to hear the further news, processes over $3 trillion in transactions annually. In the interview, Long discloses that the deal, which cost Ripple $1.25 billion, is considered a strategic move. This acquisition is aimed at strengthening the company's financial infrastructure services, which includes global payments, token custody, and asset tokenization, all of which are tailored for enterprise use. Caught up with for CNBC's Beyond the Valley to discuss Ripple's acquisition of Hidden Road. It's only been 2 weeks since the announcement, and how the prime broker directly bolsters Ripple's bread and butter, providing financial infrastructure for payments. Custody and tokenization for enterprises globally. We've grown our payments network brick by brick through building exceptional liquidity management expertise, true last mile payouts, and owning the flow end-to-end with 60-plus licenses globally, using XRP, RLUSD, and other digital assets, which is a stablecoin. I'm incredibly excited for what's to come through pairing prime brokerage services, post-trade settlement, and the XRP ledger and enterprise-grade custody. 2025 is shaping up to be the best year yet for Ripple. According to the update, Long shared that Ripple Labs has expanded its payment network. She highlighted the company's strong liquidity management, regulatory compliance with over 60 licenses, and complete control over payment flows. Long also mentioned that purchasing Hidden Road supports Ripple's core mission and enhances the integration of XRP, RLUSD, Ripple stablecoin, and other digital assets into enterprise-level solutions. It is essential to add that this development follows Ripple Labs' decision to delay going public. long explained that the company remains financially strong, holding billions in cash reserves, and does not need a IPO for capital or visibility, which is great. I don't want an IPO as of yet because it takes capital out of our market. But I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. It just takes capital out of the exchange. You can buy things at the motley fool. I'm not even gonna, let's see. Oh, actually, we can read this. This is good news. Remember, back in 2020, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and then I'll read comments after this. We're getting kind of deep here. How long has it been? Holy smokes, now it's 45 minutes. Thank you to the 100 of you and the 81% of you who have hit that like button. Alleging it was a breach of financial securities laws for the way it distributed its XRP cryptocurrency. The case weighed on the price of XRP for years, but the token soared by 300% since President Donald Trump was elected last November. Simply put, the SEC plans to be much more friendlier toward the cryptocurrency industry under the Trump administration. In fact, earlier this month, the regulator agreed to pause its case on Ripple with the intention of negotiating a settlement, which was great news for XP investors. But there was even more good news announced earlier this week. The Senate officially confirmed President Trump's nominee to serve as chairman of SEC. And he is one of the most pro-crypto leaders the agency has ever seen. So transferring money across borders can be slow and expensive. Some banks use the international network run by SWIFT, the Society of Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, whereas others don't, meaning they often need intermediaries for every transaction, which can slow down the process. Ripple is trying to solve that problem with the Ripple Payments Network. It's designed to connect international banks with one another directly, no matter what existing infrastructure they use, paving the way for instant cross-border payments. So I want to go into the comments now. XRP's right at about that 220 mark, hasn't really moved at all during this live. But it's time to get into some of these comments. So let's see if there's anything important, any kind of, if I got to get into any new members of Tom's Army, any major comments, super chats, anything that is important. Can't imagine there'll be much of the aforementioned because of how the day looks. Anything that is important. I would actually be surprised if I received any donations today, if I'm being honest. Those are few and far between these days, so I'm not expecting to see any of that. Love seeing the members in Tom's Army actively here. Josh, welcome in. Nick, good morning. Shane, welcome in. Crypto roundtable meeting today could be a catalyst we need. Absolutely, and I'll be discussing that. That's why I did the live earlier today, because if I have to, I have the opportunity to come back on later. It's just I won't be able to do an hour at this normal time at 6 o'clock, but definitely opportunity if I need to talk more. Papa Wheelie, George, Syrian, Jorge, thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictors. Also, Syrian and Jorge, thanks for being very trusted mods as well. Good afternoon to you, Syrian. I really appreciate you. Good morning, George and Papa Wheelie. Trial by Fire, welcome in, and good morning to you and the rest of the army. Jorge says, hello, people. Hello, Tom. Hello, Jorge. When you come in, hit that like button and subscribe to Tom's channel for the best technical analysis on YouTube. I appreciate that. Kryptonian, welcome in from Malaysia. Kryptonite, welcome in from Malaysia. I really appreciate that. We love your live. Could you check for us on X? Ooh, it's been a while since I looked at that. I can probably try to look at that before I leave. John Patak, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. Love it. Mark Caston, good morning to you, friend, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. We all get together every time to watch your stream. We love your live stream. I appreciate that, Kryptonite. I appreciate that greatly. I really do appreciate that. Let's see. Shane, yes. XRP Healthcare is definitely trying to get pushed in the right direction now. I haven't looked at SNX in a while, like a very long time. 76 cents. Wow. You know, I always appreciate when somebody brings something up when it's at its lows instead of at its highs. This is another case of that. Because eventually this is going to have to reverse course. It's been beaten up so badly. These are the kind of TAs I love to do. I'm actually a fan of SNX. I just have never really bought it, except when we were at a nice bullish area. But I got rid of it a long time ago. But I'm a fan of it. I think there's opportunity here. It's just, I actually do think there's an opportunity here. It's possibly lining up. That's a wick. If we look at that as the bottom, I mean, how are you going to do this? I'd probably look at it like this. Look at it through the support structure. Say that maybe we're rounding the bottom here. This is a massive decent, man, whoever just said this, Kryptonite, huge. This was a huge, huge time to tell me to look at this. We are at the low of lows right now. If we're going to break out, this is phenomenal. Right now, you're looking at the bottom right now is at 57. So we're trying to bounce off of this actively for the first time in the weekly. The daily is starting to push over the 20-day. We actually had a shorter term consolidation that we're trying to make right, but we have to get over. So if you're looking for a bullish breakout, it's almost like what we looked at for when XRP. Remember when it got into the two very lucrative areas and we formed that descending triangle within the support and resistance? That's what we've done here. So now if we can break through here, so you can consolidate until you break out with these volatile movements. But once it gets over, let's say 76 cents, 80 cents, in this case, in the short term, 85, you're going to start to push up and you have a short term push almost to $1.30. That's the beauty of it. I'm going to keep watching this, if I'm being honest. I'm going to keep watching this. Whoops, I got to get the right one. But I'm going to keep watching this because this is definitely at a pivotal point. So Kryptonite, thank you for bringing that up. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. That is going to be something I'm going to be watching. Let's see who else I got here. Levi, welcome in. The Cannabis Podcast, welcome in, and thanks for being in town on 3+ months of the XP Meteor. And thank you so much for the support, for the kind words, and also for putting out your own podcast. You taught me a lot about not just cannabis, but how you can use cannabis. Different ways to use it in like medicinal ways. Different, not just that, but you give me numbers too. I'm a numbers person. I love seeing statistics. I love seeing like the changes and things like that. Tom, if you had $250, what would you buy for a long shot? Ooh. I'm going to come back to that after I finish saying high flow. I like that question. DGB and amp flow. I like somebody mentioned amp. That's a good one. It's a good one. Amp is still definitely trying to break. We talked about amp, I think, yesterday a little bit. But it's actually actively, it's still on the bearish side. The first area would be to push past that 447, and then ultimately if it gets on top of 5.2, we're pushing. And there's a nice bottom formation here, set intact. Little reversal, if it can get above. Now, if it breaks down, it's going to be trouble. It would be trouble. But definitely, I'm intrigued that somebody said that. Quant's up to 76. So that's good. Where's the AV at this morning? I'm curious. Since it's not on my list for some reason. Even though we just did a whole thing on it yesterday. $167, so it's stuck in the same general area. It was right about here yesterday too. So that's another one that's kind of looking to get out of here. But $250, let me finish going through the comments real quick. I have zero emotion when it comes to XRP, infinite patience. That's the right mindset, Eric. That's definitely the right mindset. There's a lot of options for what you could go into, Flow. Eric, 100 people watching. Yep, I love seeing that so many of you stuck around. You know, when we get into the very bullish moments, we'll have 300, 400, 500 people in here. We're just lucky to have over 100 because before we'd have 40 or 50 when the market was like it is right now for the last several months. Levi, I love that you love my intro. Shuggan. Thank you, Edgar says you're the man. XRP Zombie, good morning and welcome in. Love it. Love it. Let's see. Mo, good afternoon and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. CP, where to buy XRP Healthcare? You can buy it on Albank. You can buy it on like Zayman, on some of the wallets. But you're gonna have to do a little bit of searching. It's soon gonna be listed, but yeah, XRPH, Albank, it's available. HOTCOIN. I don't remember XRPH being on HOTCOIN. Is it? No, it can't be. It was never on HOTCOIN before. If that's the case, that's a major. Yeah, no, unless it's not available in the USA, XRP Healthcare. But I can't buy XRP Healthcare in the USA. I was going to say, if it's on HOTCOIN, that would be huge, and the price should have pumped. But it is not, unfortunately. Not for me. Coinstar, it's on, absolutely. And Albank BitTrue, we can't use in the USA. Yeah, Albank has it. I can confirm that 100%. I actually had a link that should have still been up there. I need to put it back up there so people see it. But it's the only one for USA customers, absolutely. Kryptonian, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Oven for over 1 year. We'll look at XLR again like yesterday. Up to 36 cents right now. It's trying to break out. This is that big influential moment. If it breaks and holds this, you're talking about 56 cents is on tap. I'm being serious, folks. That's the breakout target. Is it early? Maybe. But when it does finally break out, that's a nice appreciation. You're talking about a 50+% move. So yeah, Kryptonian, keep an eye on that. Continue to mention that because I'll continue to keep my eye on that as well. Let me finish through the comments because we are winding down. I'm going to go inside. My son's a little, he's a little under the weather. Mostly I would say allergies, but he's a little stuffy and congested, so I want to go back inside. Here is one. Don't be pessimistic. We love you. Hey, thank you so much for the $1.99 donation, George, and also being in Tom's Oven for 6 months. I guess pessimism wasn't supposed to be pessimistic, but I guess the way I said it would definitely come off that way. Good eye. Good eye, George. Josh, welcome in, and I appreciate you, my friend. CJ2 Pilot, welcome in. I appreciate you being in Tom's Oven for over 1 year, friend. How's Algo looking? We can definitely take a quick look at Algo as I'm about to log out. Algo is looking pretty good. It's up to 22.92. It's trying to get past the breakout, and it's at its wit's ends here, so it's getting there. It's getting very close. I mean, you have to drag this out, obviously, if it continues going. But it's getting close. We're getting close to attempting a breakout for sure. But it needs to get over, in real time, 24.2 cents, and we're cooking. And once we get over that, we're going to be cooking up towards 57 cents in due prime. This pattern itself will get us up there. We have a nice cup and handle that was trying to form. And then if we could go by layer, we could get up to $1.12, but we got a lot of work to do to get there. We'll get there eventually. XRP Zombie, good afternoon. Let's see. I mean, that's basically it. I feel pretty good about what we did here. But I do have to go. I got to go. I want to go take care of my son. I got to see what's going on. The other two kids are going to be getting out of school soon. In a couple hours, so I just want to make sure everything's on track. Have a blessed day, everybody. Don't forget to give you thanks to your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It's just to stay humble, to show humility. It's the greatest gift. Other than that, just pay attention to what we talked about, and if you have to, watch this twice. I'm going to go take care of my dad duties. Thank you all so much.